Hey guys, this is Barbie from Two Friends in the Bible. I had planned on coming to you guys Thursday with some news update. We had decided we were going to start doing that maybe once a week, and we were going to do it on Thursday. And there's a lot going on, so I decided to go ahead and get on today. And I'll probably get on again, and I'll probably get on again Thursday with more update because I planned on giving quite a bit of world events going on that a lot of times you're not going to hear on MSM. And I have not written anything down. All I have is my chicken scratch notes. So bear with me as I'm trying to give this information. A lot of it you're not going to hear on the MSM. Okay, you're just not. They don't want us to hear things. So you're not going to actually hear it, or you might hear it later. But I have some good sources that I listen to that I've mentioned before in our videos that live in the Middle East and go to the Middle East and they have a lot of contacts in the Middle East and in that area. And so there are good sources, Amir Tasafati and Eric Stackelbag, Watchman on the Wall, Watchman Adam. There's just so many that I actually get my information from. So I want to share this with you today. I planned on going over some things that was going on in Israel, things going on in Iran, Venezuela, all these different areas. But unfortunately, I'm going to be talking about China and what's just happened in China. Now, if you've actually watched any of the news, you know that Pelosi is planning an Asian trip, and one of her trips was going to be to Taiwan. Well, China is wanting to attack Taiwan. They're wanting to get them back under their control. Taiwan wants to be an independent nation, and they want to get back. They want them back. And from what I understand, the only reason they have not attacked as of yet was because they were waiting to let Russia kind of do their thing. Russia and China, they support each other. So, and Russia has already came out and said they support China attacking Taiwan, and getting control of them. And what's concerning is that we found this guy's name. White House Kirby. Okay, he is saying that the U.S. does not support Taiwan's independence. Okay, so they're saying this. I don't know if they're saying this because Pelosi is actually in Taiwan now. We're going to talk about that. And maybe try to ease some of the tension going on over there. I don't know. But China has basically said that this is what China said, and it is, and the president of China, I think that's what they call him, the president, prime minister of China, has tweeted this. He put this on Twitter, his personal account, and you know when an account's real on Twitter because they always have that blue check mark, which means it's been verified. So we know that it's his actual account. And he said that if Pelosi comes, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to fire warning shots, okay? Especially if she comes with military planes. And because they're going to deem that an invasion. And if those shots don't work, then they will attack. And that includes her. Sorry, I just got an update on what's going on. And they will attack. And if that means they blow her plane out of the sky, they blow her plane out of the sky. So that's what they said. And then White House comes in and says, we don't support Taiwan's independence. And that really bothers me a little bit because we're supporting Ukraine's independence. So if we're going to support Ukraine's independence in the way that we are, why are we not supporting Taiwan's? Or why don't we just stay out of Ukraine's? Well, we all know the stories of corruption and stuff going on in Ukraine. So you kind of have to go, that's interesting. So that was something that actually has been going on, for a couple of weeks, and especially in the last couple of days, because Pelosi actually took off to go over there. Now, okay, so today, probably about an hour and a half ago or so, she arrived in Taiwan. Okay. And she actually went a different way. She went up and around so that I guess she wasn't necessarily entering China's airspace. But she did arrive in Taiwan. And when she arrived, the entire airport was dark. The tarmac, everything was dark. Okay, so they're bringing her in the dark. Taiwan actually asked her not to come in the last day or two, that because tensions being so high and whatnot, they wanted to cancel her coming. But instead, she decided that this was going to be something historic. And so she was coming anyway. She's planning on being there all day and staying the night. Okay, so didn't heed to the warnings. And that's kind of a interesting way. I mean, how do we look at that? Because as the United States, we cannot have somebody dictating to us where we can and can't go. So that's not cool. That part's not cool. But in the same breath, there's so much going on right now. Do you really want to fuel the fire? And so I don't know. I mean, yeah, we can't let them tell us what we can or can't do. But at the same time, do we really want to add more problems? I don't know. That's kind of an interesting little thing. So, okay, so as of right now, she has landed in Taiwan. Taiwan is under a cyber attack now. I don't think it's the whole country yet. It's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that is now under cyber attack. So they're already starting. Russia's backing China. China has actually pulled out, has already warned their country, be prepared for war. And they have already pulled out in the last few days their military arsenal, including nukes, aiming towards Taiwan. Okay, so they were showing they meant business. And I know a lot in the past, China has said things and they didn't do it. But I got a feeling in this one, they are. So what I heard just a little while ago, okay, as she was coming into Taiwan, US fighter jets, I think like 8 of them, left Japan and flew in with her to, I guess, protect her plane. And we also have warships over there. We have 3 warships in that area now that are over there as well, preparing for war if China does indeed do what they say. So Taiwan has also opened up 4,600 underground shelters in preparation for this. I think it can hold like millions of people. I'm not sure. I don't think it can hold the whole country, but it can hold a lot. So they're already those shelters are already being opened. They're in malls. They're in all kinds of different places. Those are being opened. And just a few minutes ago, I did hear that China has activated their fighter jets. Their fighter jets are in the air. Where they're going, I'm not sure yet. Let's see. All right, so Pelosi posted on Twitter today. She says our delegation's visit to Taiwan honors Americans' unwavering commitment to supporting Taiwan's vibrant democracy. Our discussions with Taiwan leadership reaffirm our support from our partner and promote our shared interests, including advancing in free and open Indo-Pacific region. Okay, that's not what the White House said. That's what Pelosi said. And the White House, Kirby was actually on TV saying this, so it wasn't a misprint or anything like that. So as always, we've got conflicting stories. Okay, so now the Chinese are surrounding Taiwan. They're announcing military exercises around six corners of Taiwan. I'm sorry, they're not around Taiwan yet. They're announcing military exercises around six corners of Taiwan from August 4th to August 7th. And this is what it's a map that the Chinese actually released. And it kind of, oh, you might not be able to see it. Yeah, kind of see that a little bit. That's Taiwan, and that's where they're going to be. So basically, they're going to be surrounding Taiwan. I do know they pulled their nukes out. I know they've pulled a lot of things. So at this point, Pelosi is in Taiwan, and now it's in the hands of the Chinese to see if they're going to do anything. I do know the air raid sirens are sounding in the Chinese coastal towns overlooking the Strait of Taiwan. So they do have the sirens going off, preparing for war. I don't know if it's just a whatever, but it's not good. Let's see. I think that's all I have on China today. It's going, it's going to keep going, so just keep an eye on it because if this happens, World War III is going to start. Okay. I mean, it's just going to, that's too big and it will, start World War III. So if this happens, it's going to be bad. And a lot of people don't think it affects us, what goes on over there. But yeah, it affects us big time. And the other thing too is I just wanted to mention why another reason this is so, because we know if you listen to our last Bible study, it talked about World War III, Armageddon, or no, the next to the last one. I think it was number 9. World War III, Armageddon, what's the difference? And we went in and explained, and there is going to be a World War III either prior to the rapture, after the rapture, before the abomination of desolation. Sometime there's going to be a World War III. And this is not to be confused with the War of Armageddon. The War of Armageddon is a spiritual war. That is when Jesus comes on the clouds at the second coming and brings the saints with him and defeats evil, Satan and his minions, and anyone following him, anyone that's still left that has taken the mark and the divine God. That's when that's going to happen. That's the War of Armageddon. World War III is physical on the natural earth, and it is going to be amongst nations. And we already know that Russia and China are going to be in Venezuela in probably the next week or two, doing war games, conducting something like war games on how to take us out, basically. So we already know that's happening. So we know Russia and China are buddies. Okay. Russia and China, Russia was actually in Iran with Turkey. And we know that is Syria. I'm sorry, they were in Syria. So you got Iran, Syria, Turkey, and Russia. Those are the 4 that are going to be really involved in the Gog-Magog war that we have a video on. If you haven't listened to it, I suggest it. That is going to happen most likely prior to the rapture. So I'm reporting all this because it really is going towards the end times. I mean, every time I start thinking, okay, maybe not, something else happens. And we also did a series on Matthew 24. If you want to listen to that. Sorry, I was looking to see. I thought I got another update. Okay, so if you read Matthew 24, I'm just going to read part of it, but it says, Jesus departed from the temple area and was going on his way when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to the buildings of the temple and point them out to him. But he answered them, do you see all these? Truly, I tell you, there will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down. He's talking about the temple in Jerusalem at the time, and he's predicting or prophesying or whatever that it will be destroyed. And that temple was destroyed in AD 70. When Jesus came, He was the ultimate sacrifice. So that temple wasn't needed anymore because he got rid of sacrificing because he became the one Lamb of God. So that didn't need to happen anymore. So yes, it was destroyed in AD 70. And then it says, while he was seated on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately and said, tell us, when will this take place? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? Jesus answered them, be careful that no one misleads you, deceiving you and leading you into error. So yes, even us, we say what we tell you, you go on there and you verify. You go to scripture and you verify. Okay. For many will come on the strength of my name, appropriating the name which belongs to me, saying, I am the Christ, the Messiah, and they will lead many astray. And I actually heard a video today of a guy trying to say that he was, and the guy that was doing the program had him explain what the actual gospel is, and the guy couldn't do it. So if you know your word and you know the words, you're going to know who's false. Okay. If you know the word, you're going to know who's fake. And kind of like, when Jesus went up to the Mount of Transfiguration, no, I'm sorry. Right after Jesus was baptized with John the Baptist, he went into the desert and he was tempted. He was there for 40 days and he was tempted by Satan 3 times. And he defeated Satan by using the word of God. Okay. So it's very imperative that we do know that. And that's how we know when there's false prophets, false messiahs. Okay. And then the next verse, this is verse 6, says, and you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not frightened or troubled, for this must take place, but the end is not yet. Okay. So Jesus is telling us we're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars, and not to be frightened. This is going to happen. And we're seeing that now. Now, I know many of you guys are going to say, oh, come on, we had World War I, we had World War II, we had all these other things going on. We've had wars and rumors of wars since creation, and that is true. We have. So let's keep going. For nation will rise against nation. Okay, we're seeing that. And kingdom against kingdom. Kingdom against kingdom is your spiritual realm and your natural realm. I'm sorry, your spiritual realm. It's good versus evil. It's Satan's demons versus the angels. They're fighting to keep us protected. Okay, so those are the things that are going on. I personally can't see in the spiritual realm, so I can't see it. But I know people that can see in the spiritual realm, and they can see a lot of this going on. I can't see in the spiritual realm, so it's a little weird to me, but hey, it says it. So, and since I can't see in the spiritual realm, I'm not gonna can't discredit someone that says they can. But again, you be careful. All this is but the beginning, the early pains of the birth pains. Okay, so we know that what's going on is the beginning of birth pains. And if you watched our last video, we talked about the Revelation 12 sign, which we believe was a sign from God to open up, to go to the book of Revelation and start preparing. Okay, so if you hadn't watched that, I would watch it. Okay, and then he says, then they will hand you over to suffer affliction and tribulation and put you to death, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. Well, that's definitely true. Christians have been persecuted and Jews have been Jesus is talking, so it's Christians have been persecuted for many, 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 many years. So that's not something new. That's been going on. But in the United States, you haven't really seen so much of that. And now we are being somewhat persecuted. I mean, conservatives are being taken off of social media. We're being taken off of Twitter, YouTube, all these other places. And I'm anticipating it's going to happen to us eventually. So I'm in the process of trying to get us a Rumble account started up. Rumble is not monitoring people like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube is. So you might want to start you up a Rumble account, if you don't have one. All right. And many false prophets will rise up and deceive and lead many into error. Okay. We talked about that last week in our video as well. And the love of the great body of people will grow cold because of the multiplied lawlessness and inequity. You know, we're seeing that. But he who endures to the end will be saved. And this good news of the kingdom will be preached throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then will come the end. Okay, and then he starts talking about the abomination of desolation and about the Jews fleeing into the mountains, which we discussed in previous videos. Let's see. Hang on just a second. I'm trying to find something else. Okay. And then in verse 34, he says, truly I tell you, this generation, which is the generation that's going to see all these things, the abomination of desolation, which is when the Antichrist sits on the throne in Jerusalem and declares that he is God. All that's what he's talking about, all these things that we're going to see. He says, truly, I tell you, this generation, the whole multitude of people living at the same time in a definite given period, will not pass away till all these things taken together take place. Okay, so he's talking about this generation, and it's going to be the last generation, because when the tribulation starts and then our war of Armageddon happens, we're gonna all the evil, Satan, his minions, all them are going to be gone, but we're still going to be living on the earth. And that's when Jesus reigns for 1,000,000 years. So there's going to be no more generations. When that happens, that is the last generation. And personally, we believe we are possibly the last generation, most likely. And I'll explain that in a second. But of that exact day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As were the days of Noah, so will be coming the Son of Man. For just as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and being given in marriage until the very day when Noah went into the ark. And they did not know or understand until the flood came and swept them all away. So will be the coming the Son of the Man. Okay, so days of Noah, just like he was saying, they were partying and having a great time, living, the bad angels were breeding with the women and having Nephilims, big giant creatures, and just all kinds of really nasty things. And they didn't know that it was coming. Even though they saw Noah build the ark, well, they had to question it, right? But they didn't believe. And that's what's going on right now. People are not listening. People are not watching these signs. People see, oh, China's attacking Taiwan. Big deal. Iran is getting its nukes and it's threatening Israel. Big deal. Well, it's a big deal because all these things are leading to what's coming to the end times. Now, if you go, okay, now you remember in this, we just read about this generation will not end until all these things come to pass. So what is a generation? All right, so you can go to Psalm. And this is not where I planned on going with this today, but apparently it's where the Lord's telling me I'm supposed to be going. I was planning on just giving a little update. So we can go to Psalm 90. I believe it's verse 10. Yes. Psalm 90, verse 10. The days of our years are 80 years and 10. Okay, 80 years and 10. 1 is 20 years. So 80 would be 60 years and 10 makes 70 years. Or even, if by reason of strength, score years, which is 80 years. Yet is their pride only labor and sorrow, for it is soon gone, and we fly away. So a generation is 70 to 80 years. When Israel became a nation in 1948, that was something that God had always promised. They would be in that area. And when the end times comes and Jesus is reigning on the earth, he's going to be ruling from Jerusalem. So these people they had to have Israel. Well, Israel became a nation in 1948, which is why World War I and World War II could not have been anything going towards the end times, because Israel wasn't a nation. And when Israel became a nation, the last generation, we believe, started. Israel is now 74 years old. If you take 1948, you take 2022 and subtract 1948, you get 74 years old. So we are in that last generation, 70 to 80 years. So that's why we are feeling that the end times are coming. And then you have, the Gog-Magog war setting up. Now you've got World War III setting up. Granted, God could go in and intervene in all this, and he could stop it. It's always that possibility he's going to, or he could be done with us. He could be done with the whole situation. It's just, you know what, I'm done. It's time. Let's end. So this is why this is so important, okay? And why it's important in what's going on in China and Iran and Russia and all these other places. And, so anyway, I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. And again, I wasn't planning on doing all this. I was planning on just talking about what was going on in China. So right now it's looking like the Chinese military's announced military exercises around 6 corners of Taiwan from the 4th to the 7th. Exercises. So we're going to see, and we'll see what happens today. I'm not sure, why Kirby from the White House said we were not supporting independence with Taiwan's independence from China, but then Pelosi just went and said we do. So I don't know. Maybe they said that to try to keep the Chinese appeased. I don't know. But I do know fighter jets are in the air, and they have warned. So if they don't follow through with what they have warned, then it's going to be like, you can't really have any faith in anything they're going to say. So my thought is they're going to follow through with it. My gut tells me they're going to follow through with it. I don't know if it's going to involve nukes. We'll find out. So and I'll be back on Thursday to give updates on the rest of the stuff going on, like with Iran and Israel and all that. I just felt like this was really important. You guys stay safe. And if you're saved and you're a Christian and you've accepted Christ, don't let these things worry you. It must happen. Just like Jesus said, it must happen. That does not mean we don't go through trials and tribulations as Christians, because we certainly do. But for a non-Christian, someone who has not accepted Christ, oh, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be really, really bad. So, just keep looking up. Just keep watching for Christ, and just keep in the Word so that you know how to fight devil's schemes, especially if these are the end times, which I feel they are. We have a lot of false prophets and a lot of false messiahs rising, and you need to make sure you are not fooled. And the best way to do that is to know the Word. That's how this guy I watched earlier was able to decipher whether this guy, he came on and said that God had told him that he was going to be really involved in witnessing to people. And his name was Mike. He was basically undwelled with Michael, the angel. And so you're already kind of going, oh, okay. But okay, let's listen and see what he has to say. But when the other guy said, okay, tell me about the gospel of Christ. Tell me what is the gospel? And the guy couldn't do it. So that's how you know, if you know the Word, then you know who the false people are. Hope this helps. I hope this makes some understanding going on. And you guys have a great week and just keep praying and keep living and being happy, but stay in the word and tell your friends, even if they laugh at you. Jesus got laughed at, I'm sure, a lot. He was hated, remember? So we're going to be hated. So, it is what it is. All right, guys, y'all have a good one. Bye bye.